something truly unexpected just happened in the world of cryptocurrency, and if you hold Picoin, you'll want to hear every second of this. For years, the community has speculated about whether Pi would ever make it onto the major exchanges, BINANCE, COINBASE, and so on. But what just occurred flips that entire narrative on its head. It didn't come from BINANCE. It wasn't COINBASE. It was Kraken, a top-tier, highly selective, and globally respected exchange that just made a move nobody predicted. And this could have enormous consequences for the future of Pi Network and its millions of global pioneers. For a long time, many believed Pi Network needed validation from the big players to gain credibility. But we've been saying for months now, Pi doesn't need the traditional giants to succeed. It's charting its own course, and today's news only proves that point further. Kraken has officially launched perpetual futures contracts for Picoin, giving traders access to leverage of up to 20x. That means Pi has now entered the derivatives arena, one of the most exclusive markets in crypto, before even securing a spot listing on Binance or Coinbase. Think about that, a project still moving through its testnet and app ecosystem phases just made it to a top-tier exchange's leveraged trading platform. Before we unpack the layers of what this means, let me welcome all of you to the channel that delivers hard-hitting Pi Network updates. Whether you're joining from Nigeria, the United States, Brazil, the Philippines, India, Germany, or anywhere else, you're part of a fast-growing global movement. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and drop your country in the comments with the phrase Pi to the moon. Let's show the world how unified and passionate the Pi community really is. Now, let's dive deeper into what just happened and why it's such a pivotal moment. Kraken's announcement wasn't just some quiet update buried in a press release. It was loud and clear. Picoin now has live perpetual futures on Kraken Pro, allowing institutional and retail traders alike to speculate on its price without owning the asset directly. These contracts have no expiration date, meaning positions can be held indefinitely, and profit or loss is calculated continuously. This opens the door to more sophisticated trading strategies, and more importantly, introduces Pi to a segment of the market that includes hedge funds, proprietary trading firms, and high-volume professional investors. This isn't the kind of development that happens every day. Pi is now the only major cryptocurrency without a spot listing on the top two exchanges, Binance and Coinbase, to get a futures contract on a major platform like Kraken. That says something significant about how the industry views Pi. While critics continue to question the viability of its closed mainnet model, major players like Kraken are quietly making moves that suggest they see real long-term value in what Pi is building. And let's not ignore the context here. Earlier this year, in February, Pi's debut on Gate.io made headlines, with trading volume spiking to over $3.5 billion in a single day. But by May, that volume had plummeted to under $40 million, a shocking 98% drop. While some interpreted this as a loss of momentum, experienced market analysts know this kind of washout often signals a clearing out of weak hands. When volume dries up and only the most committed holders remain, it sets the stage for a more sustainable growth phase, especially if fresh institutional money begins to flow in. Kraken's decision to launch Pi futures now, amid that low-volume environment, could be strategic. It means that even relatively small injections of capital through futures contracts could generate significant price movement. And when you factor in 20x leverage, the potential for sharp volatility becomes very real. With that leverage, a 1% price shift becomes a 20% gain or loss for the trader. This is high-stakes trading, and it tends to attract serious professionals who thrive on market momentum. So what could this mean for Pi's price trajectory? While no one can predict the future, the market mechanics suggest that if interest in Pi grows on the derivative side, spot market demand could follow. Traders using futures may hedge those positions by acquiring real Pi, once available, or they may simply create enough noise and attention to draw in fresh spot buyers on other exchanges. Either way, liquidity rises and with it, the potential for explosive upward movement. But there's more to this story than just trading volume and leverage. The Pi Network ecosystem has been quietly expanding on the infrastructure side as well. A new email-based recovery system has been rolled out, and while it might seem like a small detail, it's actually a massive step forward for accessibility and reliability. Previously, account recovery relied heavily on mobile network carriers, local telecom infrastructure, and other factors that varied widely depending on your location. That caused problems for users in regions with inconsistent or restrictive network conditions. Now, with email-based recovery, more pioneers than ever before can be confident that their access to the Pi ecosystem is secure, regardless of their country or service provider. This kind of user-focused design is critical if Pi is ever going to achieve mass adoption. People want simplicity. They want to know they won't lose their digital identity just because their SIM card changed. And Pi is delivering that. Zooming out, we can see that Pi's development strategy is layered and intentional. While critics point to delays and call for more transparency, the steps being taken behind the scenes show that Pi Network is building with scalability in mind. You don't roll out robust recovery systems and expand app utility unless you're anticipating a major influx of new users. And between the increasing number of real-world applications, like games, e-commerce platforms, and utility tokens, and the growing conversation around Open Mainnet, it's becoming clear that Pi is setting the stage for something big. Of course, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Approximately 60% of Pi's token supply is still controlled by the core team, which creates questions about centralization. Discussions are ongoing around decentralization, particularly with node concentration in countries like Vietnam. Regulatory clarity is still an issue in several jurisdictions, which may explain why BINANCE and COINBASE remain on the sidelines. Influential voices like Dr. Altcoin have even accused the core team of staging the appearance of progress without delivering meaningful structural changes. He recently posted that Pi's leadership may be more focused on preserving power than empowering the community. That tension is real, and it's part of what makes this moment so fascinating. On one hand, you have legitimate concerns about transparency and governance. On the other, you have institutions like Kraken making bold, unprecedented moves that show real confidence in Pi's long-term viability. The truth probably lies somewhere in between, a work in progress, but one with extraordinary potential. And that brings us to the big question: what does all of this mean for you as a Pi holder? This Kraken development is not just about price speculation, it's about validation. Pi is being taken seriously by high-level players. And with increased institutional exposure, the possibility of new capital entering the ecosystem rises. This doesn't guarantee overnight wealth, and it doesn't eliminate risks. In fact, with leverage trading now in play, volatility is likely to increase in both directions. But it signals something the community has been waiting for: recognition. If you've been here since the early days, grinding through the closed mainnet phase, testing apps, clicking your lightning button daily, this might be your moment to take a breath and realize that everything you've been building toward is starting to materialize. Now it's your turn. What do you think about Kraken's move? Is this the start of Pi's next major surge, or just another step on a long journey? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them and love hearing from pioneers across the world. If this analysis gave you a clearer view of what's really happening behind the scenes with Pi Network, go ahead and hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next deep dive. The future of Pi is being written right now, and we're all part of it.